Okay. You all ready? Yep.
Good evening, everyone. This is Lagrange County Board of Zoning Appeals. This is the evening of July 21st, 2020. We're starting a little late because of the Town Board of Zoning Appeals prior. This meeting has been called to order. Have a roll call, please.
Tyler.
Here.
Lynn.
Here.
Jim.
Here.
Richard.
Here. This evening, since we have recently lost a member, we need to re-elect a vice president. I will nominate Lynn Bowen.
Second. I move nomination be closed.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Congratulations, Lynn.
Thank you.
I do Nick, but he's not here.
Well, well, we could do that anyway.
Oh,
We could have done that anyway.
Yeah, that's all right.
Okay.
There's typically 5 members on this board, but because of a lack of a 5th member, we are having 4 this evening. There has to be three voters to say yes on all conditions that we vote on this evening. So with that being said, there will only be 1 who would be able to say no and have a variance pass. If you would like to postpone your variances this evening because of that, I will give you this opportunity to do so. Are there any additions or corrections to the agenda as presented?
No. As presented.
Motion to approve. Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes of the previous meeting?
I didn't get any minutes.
We have minutes from the previous meeting.
I asked about those today too.
You do? Okay. So they'll be for the next
We
one.
will postpone those to the August meeting. The way this meeting will be run this evening is any petitioner will have 15 minutes to bring forth their petition, and anyone who would like to speak in favor of said petition will also be able to speak within that 15 minutes. Following that, any remonstrators will have 15 minutes to remonstrate against said petition. Following that, the petitioner will then have 5 minutes to rebuttal any of those remonstrators, and then the public hearing will be closed. We are going to stick to those minutes very strictly this evening. So if you have something to say, and there's many others that may want to have something to say, please be minded of your minutes. Let's begin the meeting with old business.
So first on the agenda is Laverne and Nora Whetstone, Outback Canine LLC. It's 20 LUV 14, Bloomfield Township, Section 16, Township 37 North, Range 10 East. It's zoned A1. It's located east of 2275 East, 150 North Lagrange. Application is to operate a commercial dog breeding facility for 100 breeding females in an A1 zoning district. So here's an aerial which shows the parcel. It's a 5-acre parcel. There's an aerial showing the zoning. There is a proposed site plan for the facility. This is on 150 North, looking to the west, back to the east. Oops. Here's the driveway cut off of 150. Up the driveway to the north.
Do we have a representative this evening?
Yes, sir.
State your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Stephen Klaus. I'm the attorney for Outback Canine LLC.
You need to start your timer.
Yes. I have just a moment to get my... And Robbie, they got additional information in their packet as well than what you showed. Is that correct?
Yeah, they have questionnaires and all of that.
Okay, great. clients. Ezra Whetstone is here. He is of Rome City, Noble County. Laverne Whetstone is here as well. They are the two gentlemen who are the sole members of Outback Canine LLC. I will tell you unequivocally, they are animal welfare proponents, without a doubt. They are against puppy mills, without a doubt, 100%. That's not what today is. If I pass out with the mask on, just give me a minute, okay? Stop my time. That's all. So, procedurally, we got here on old business because the Whetstones bought this property last year in 60 acres approximately. And when the petition began, there had not been a carve out in the name of the LLC. So when I started looking at it with the gentleman, it seemed to me that for reasons that have maybe as much to do with zoning, but even more to do with liability and business planning, their business property needed to be in the name of the LLC. So we took that 5 acres, moved it over. That didn't get officially transferred until the end of May. We missed the June date by a matter of days, and that's why we're here today. So you folks know, this is not about a new breeding facility in Lagrange or in the area. These gentlemen are already commercial dog breeders. Laverne currently operates full-time in this. This is his profession. He has 60 unaltered females at his facility currently, 12 breeding males approximately. Ezra, a little more part-time, but still probably feels full-time in the profession, has 35 unaltered females down in Rome City. So by asking to go to 100 in one facility, keep in mind we're not talking about much of an expansion from what these gentlemen are already doing. Their current facilities have been described as just beyond reproach by all of those who know. And if we start with the neighbors, these folks all gave me permission to tell you that these men's operations, since they have been in the neighborhood, have created no nuisance, no complaints. The neighbors represent that these gentlemen are running a professional, responsible operation. Timothy Feifel added, this is one of the best facilities I've ever seen. Clean animals, extremely well cared for. Spoke of Ezra's facility. Peter Wingard, Nicholas Fox, Jeremy Eicher, James Lambright, Leanne Bontrager, all touted the praises of these men and their neighborhood people. No issues. So the other thing that you need to know, their health care for their animals is high health care, incoming and outgoing. Dr. King is here. She is their local veterinarian. She's not wanting to speak necessarily, but if the board has questions concerning the Whetstones' care of their animals, she's here and she said she would take the board's questions to that end. The Whetstones voluntarily participate in the Purdue University Canine Certified Program, which establishes rigorous standards for the care and welfare of breeding dogs and their puppies. Dr. Candace Croney, there's a letter in your packets from Professor Croney, and in conversations with her, she was very supportive, and she sent me an email Saturday night. She said, for the record, I 100% support ending puppy mills. Our program does not work with such breeders. We only work with USDA licensed commercial breeders. Of those, the ones who do our standards, such as Ezra and Laverne, are far exceeding USDA standards. While their kennel might be considered large by those who are familiar with breeders who keep only a few dogs, their kennels are actually on the small side for commercial operations and are run more like a boarding kennel. She goes on to say they actually exceed our standards for the Purdue program. They regularly attend education programs on canine welfare. They serve as advocates to encourage other breeders to become certified.
I'll back up for you.
Recorder on.
All right, good evening.
Recorder on.
All right, good evening, everyone. This is Lagrange.
The board had the responsibility. So eventually both business partners would be on site. Breeding males, approximately. Ezra, a little more part-time, but still probably feels full-time in the profession, has 35 unaltered females down in Room City. So by asking to go to 100 in one facility, keep in mind we're not talking about much of an expansion from what these gentlemen are already doing. Their current facilities have been described as just beyond reproach by all of those who know. And if we start with the neighbors, these folks all gave me permission to tell you that these men's operations, since they have been in the neighborhood, have created no nuisance, no complaints. The neighbors represent that these gentlemen are running a professional, responsible operation. Timothy Feifel added, this is one of the best facilities I've ever seen, clean animals, extremely well cared for. Spoke of Ezra's facility. Peter Wingard, Nicholas Fox, Jeremy Eicher, James Lambright, Leanne Bontrager, all touted the praises of these men and their neighborhood people. No issues. So the other thing that you need to know, their health care for their animals is high health care, incoming and outgoing. Dr. King is here. She is their local veterinarian. She's not wanting to speak necessarily, but if the board has questions concerning the Whetstone's care of their animals, she's here and she said she would take the board's questions to that end. The Whetstones voluntarily participate in the Purdue University Canine Certified Program, which establishes rigorous standards for the care and welfare of breeding dogs and their puppies. Dr. Candace Croney, there's a letter in your packets from Professor Croney, and in conversations with her, she was very supportive, and she sent me an email Saturday night. She said, for the record, I 100% support ending puppy mills. Our program does not work with such breeders. We only work with USDA licensed commercial breeders. Of those, the ones who do our standards, such as Ezra and Laverne, are far exceeding USDA standards. While their kennel might be considered large by those who are familiar with breeders who keeps only a few dogs, their kennels are actually on the small side for commercial operations and are run more like a boarding kennel. She goes on to say they actually exceed our standards for the Purdue program. They regularly attend education programs on canine welfare. They serve as advocates to encourage other breeders to become certified under their standards. No valid comparison I can see to a puppy mill other than a higher number of dogs than most people could manage as household pets. However, they ensure the care of their dogs in accord with the high demands of our standards anyway. Their care practices can be verified through Validus. And I included a Validus update in your packets. It was for Ezra's facility. And when you go through that, you see 100% compliant in every category. that they were testing. There are folks here today from the Indiana Council for Animal Welfare who also are against puppy mills, but when they find folks who are engaged in the commercial dog breeding appropriately and professionally, they make the drive across Indiana to be here and to support them. That speaks well to who they are. So here's the plan, folks, that the Whetstones have, their business. Ezra would like to begin building his house out on this property in the next month. And the first kennel to house 50 females would be built thereafter. It's important to note there's not going to be a kennel until there's a house. Somebody needs to be there. Then Laverne wants to build his house, the same property, not 5 acres, of course. And then kennel number 2 would be constructed for the additional 50 dogs. So eventually both business partners would be on site. And this is really what drove them to this decision. One man's operating in Rome City with a number of dogs. One man's up here. It's difficult. This is a 24-hour care job. So if you want to take a vacation or take a break, you need someone who's responsible and knowledgeable and can care for your dogs. So that's why these two men have partnered up. And that's why this plan makes a lot of sense. This is a $500,000 investment into Lagrange County. They have a combined 17 years of breeding experience. I do want to point out that there's been a lot on social media, and I wanted to address at least one thing. There was discussions on social media about a man in Elkhart County who unfortunately has the same name as Laverne Whetstone. Different middle initial. You're Laverne F. J. The man in Elkhart County is Laverne S. Sam. Even more unfortunate that at one point, Laverne S. had a business named Outback Enterprises, Inc. That has now since changed names to Premier Bulldog Enterprise, Inc. Board members, I can assure you there is no connection, no affiliation, no relationship, and until we started to learn this, we didn't know it either. But please do not let whatever discussion there may be about that entity affect what we're doing here. It's not in the slightest related. So to quickly go through, obviously the findings that you need to make. Will the land use variance be injurious to the public health, safety, morals of the community? The answer is no. From my perspective, folks, this is zoned ag. Your code contemplates commercial dog breeding in an ag zoned area. There's other animal type activities in this ag area where they're going to build. It doesn't seem to be that issue. In terms of the use and value of adjacent property being affected, these gentlemen own on both sides of the red blocked area. So if you think of a total of 59 acres and the 5 acres cut out of the middle, they own everything else around it. So getting to number 3, and we talk about peculiarity of the property, and I did want to hand out something to you folks on this issue. Okay. Thank you. And this is a map showing the radius of 500 feet for the neighborhood approval affidavit. And as you can see from the land that they own and where they situated that block, they did that to mitigate any effect it would have on the neighbors. However, because it stretched out a little bit to the west, there are a couple neighbors that were brought in. That's why we're in this proceeding today. Moving on to the denial causing a hardship, the answer is yes to that, because they still own this property, folks. situate their 5-acre plot in another configuration somewhere else within those 59 acres, and they could exempt out anybody in the 500 neighborhood affidavit boundary. To do so would require, obviously, new surveys, transfers, new engineering, a tremendous amount of expense that, in my opinion, would be unnecessary. The bottom line is these folks, this is their job. They are commercial breeders. I encourage you to read very closely the letter from Dr. Croney that's in your packet. They do it better. They do it more professionally than anyone else, is what I've learned. I didn't know that when they came into my office. But this is also a case of supply and demand. There's a number of people who want purebred dogs. And these are the men who are helping in that process. These are not dogs that wind up in shelters at all. For the dogs who are done breeding, there's a certified rehoming program that they go to. Lots of socialization, lots of treats, dog leash training from the very beginning. This is not at all what you see on TV when they're talking about puppy mills, folks. These men are doing it right. And all they want to do is combine their efforts so it can be done even better. Exactly what they're doing now in 2 locations. Put it in one so they can help each other out. Whetstones are here with their wives. They would also be available for any questions the board would have later as well. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. We have about a minute and a half for anyone else who would like to speak in favor of the Whetstones this evening. If not, if there are any remonstrators, figure out how you would like to speak, and we will begin the...
I would like to speak before you start the time for the remonstrators, because I have received several emails to a tune of 434 emails. Of that 434 emails, I have 340 that don't have any name or any address on them, so I can't verify where they're from. I have 63 that are outside of our county. I have 13 from animal advocates and companies, and I have 18 from Lagrange County residents out of the, again, 434 emails. I was just handed this evening. Not sure who dropped it off. On the front, it's a change.org. I believe it's a petition. I have heard about it, but I don't have any number. I don't know the number of signatures on it. So,
I was told, but I can get you that number if you want it.
So, it's pretty thick. So, I think it's a lot. But again, I don't have an exact number.
8,300.
Change.org. It's an Indiana Humane Advocates Group. Did a petition. If I just randomly pulled a list out of here.
8,424.
Pardon?
Currently 8,424 signatures.
Are there remonstrators on the clock?
No, this is mine.
No, he was speaking.
Yeah, so, and I have Nashville, Tennessee, Mooresville, Easton, South Bend, Greenwood, Fishers, Eugene, Rochester, Fishers, Crestview, Fort Wayne, Columbus, Fort Wayne. So they're from all over. That's all I'm saying.
Any other?
So I have.
Like to read?
Pardon?
Anything else you'd like to read before we get started?
No, just I'm hoping you don't really want me to read all these emails.
No, I don't.
So
I don't.
there you go. I just want this read into the record that we do have remonstrators via email, via a petition before the remonstrators' time.
All right. Do we have our first remonstrator this evening? All right. I'm going to start your 15 minutes. You're sharing it with anyone else who'd like to speak, so keep that in mind. And begin.
Good evening, gentlemen and ladies. I'm here on behalf of Gary Lickey.
I need your name too, please.
Hey, Gary. Is at 2195 East 150 North, Lagrange, Indiana, and he's one of the adjoining property owners that's required 500 feet.
Can we get your name and address for the
My name
record,
is
please?
Larry Helmer. I'm with Ernstberger and Helmer, 408 North Detroit Street, Lagrange, Indiana. I'm an attorney. And are you ready for me to start?
Yes, go ahead.
I'd like to hand to the board
Can you pass that to Tyler?
First of all, Mr. Lickey is ill tonight and cannot be here. And his significant other, Jean McKibben, she is here on his behalf, and she's here available. For that I represent the adjoining property owners. We object to the board granting the variance because of the use applied for. As the board well knows, we have to meet the five criteria, and I believe council has already made reference to them. The first being the approval will not be injurious to the public health and general welfare of the community. First of all, protecting the well-being of pets should be considered part of protecting health and welfare of the community. My client has an adjoining property owner, and as a concerned citizen, believes that adding 100 dogs to breed next to his property in a confined area creates not only cruelty to the dogs, but also to the barking and taking care of waste materials, which is injurious to the public health and general welfare of the community. Now, I might point out, Ms. Klaus just mentioned that his client could relocate even on the property so they wouldn't have to tell anybody. That in of itself, so they're trying to put this puppy mill together without not having to be accountable to anybody. So in this situation, my client has the property next to them, and he's about 350 feet away. I'll hand it out to you. Map says it's a 2017 map, and it's put out by the USDA. It shows you that Elkhart and Lagrange County are the two most populated puppy mills in the state. There's two more down in southern Indiana, but these two counties, we right now have 26 as of 2017 puppy mill locations. Now, they come under commercial breeding. We know that's how they use it. But there's been a lot of problems with these raising of these people. And so for some reason, Lagrange County and Elkhart County both have concentrated on this use of puppy mills in this county and have been approved. Historically, many of the locations have continuously violated regulations set up by the USDA. Lagrange County does not have the enforcement ability to enforce the regulations. We don't have an animal control officer. And granted, these people have indicated that they're commercial dog breeders. That's good. But there's no ability to enforce that. They're already in the business. It's proven, and then going back to the injury to the public health, there's a proven fact that the carcasses of dogs and the waste material created by them, for people that don't properly manage their facility, will eventually soak into the soil, the water, the air. If you look at the material I gave you, there's an article on just that very topic. So, yes, maybe this is injurious to the public health and general welfare, especially if you consider pets as part of public health. I refer you to that the Humane Society article. I see there's a petition by the Humane Society. Well, that article was also printed by the Humane Society. The addition of the 100 dogs, granted, he's saying they're going to do 50 and then 50 more, and they're going to combine the two. How do we really know that? They've already bought the property a year ago. They're now trying to combine it. They moved it to the back, hoping that they would not even have to have this type of a meeting to get approval. And with the 500-foot line, it did. And then if that doesn't work, they will relocate it and see if they can do it again. And my client is concerned about the effect of his future health to him as well as to his neighbors as a result of this. This leads to the second criteria. This approval will substantially affect the use and value of the adjoining property in an adverse manner. Well, that to me is an adverse situation. It's not needed. It's obvious that for whatever reason, Lagrange County has an extensive number of facilities, and each time we add another one, we create another opportunity for more possibilities in the future of damaging our soil, air, water. Third and fourth criteria of peculiar and unnecessary hardship. Well, first of all, this is farmland, and they can farm it. They've created their own peculiar situation of putting 5 acres in the middle of their property. And then certainly it's not an unnecessary hardship to use the land for what it's for. The property is zoned agriculture. Farming is the basic purpose of this area. The applicant has carved out a section on this property to establish his commercial breeding, but nothing peculiar or certainly no unnecessary hardship exists. So we don't believe that they have been able to comply with the third and fourth criteria. And then finally, the fifth criteria, that it does not interfere with the comprehensive plan. Now this is where everybody seems to get excited about. I would think that the comprehensive plan did not contemplate 25 to 30 puppy mills in this county when they drew up the plan. The overall conditional use of the land has been created by this county to promote for environmental harmony. It's in your own regulations. Environmental harmony is not only to the individual property, it's to the harmony of the community. And it's very obvious that we are overrun with these type of facilities, and Lagrange County just doesn't need any more of that on the promise that, yes, we're good commercial breeders and nothing's going to happen. And still we have 100 dogs within a small location having to be in cages or whatever they have to do. That's not creating a situation for the animals that's going to be good for the people. There's going to be barking. There's going to be waste material. There's going to be, what happens to them when they have a bad dog? They go to the vet. They get rid of it. Whether it is full-bred dogs or dog at art, we still are responsible for taking care of these animals. And if I'm going to allow the animal husbandry of the community, what's the animal husbandry? The animal husbandry is hogs, chickens, cattle, closed-in places to raise hogs and chickens. Now we got a closed-in place to raise dogs. Fortunately, in this country, we don't eat our dogs. Some countries do. But that's kind of the same comparison when you do that to chickens and hogs. I think the committee has the board had the responsibility for the overall intent of the comprehensive plan, and I don't believe that approval of this applicant for this variance should be granted. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. We've gone through 10 minutes. Anyone else who'd like to speak? You have 5 minutes on the remonstrator's time. No one else would like to speak. I'd welcome the petitioner for 5 minutes.
Thank you. Another point on the location of this, when we talk about the facility and how we got the 500 feet to the neighbors, was from the outside property line. Okay, and that's the map that you see there with that radius. If you think of a facility as a building, the kennel, based on that site plan, that's another 177 feet off of that, okay? If you want to see the larger plans tonight, I have them. I don't know if they're on your iPad. You can read them. I can't read those little things. If you want to see the big ones, I have them here for you. Again, folks, Dr. Crony herself has been here. She's seen these men's operation. She says it's better than the boarding kennels. It's what she looks for in her ethical studies that she's doing at Purdue for this very research. These men are the gold standard for commercial dog breeders. Folks, I don't want to overplay this, but as dog breeders, Lagrange County should be lucky to have these men representing the industry here in Lagrange County. How do we know they're going to do what we said they're going to do? The board has oversight. I'm fairly certain if they stray from what this board would allow them to do, we're going to hear about it. That's how this works. Nobody tried to avoid accountability through this. We're here. We faced everybody on the front step. That's not what we were trying to do. But we would ask you to grant the variance to allow this. Again, we're not starting anything new. We're combining 2 existing operations that will be run better and more efficiently. Not tomorrow. After the homes are built, one kennel, after the other home, the next kennel. Responsible commercial dog breeders. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else who would like to speak within the 5 minutes of the petitioner's time? Would you like to speak in favor for?
No.
It's just he only has the opportunity to address, the petitioner has the opportunity to address.
At this time, I'll close the public hearing. Any further discussion will be addressed by me or one of the board members. Found it interesting that the petitioner said we don't eat dogs. Well, I don't know of anybody in Lagrange County that eats horses. There's an awful lot of them raised in this county as well. Lagrange County is a very unique county. These dog breeders, as said, are USDA certified, ICAL certified. There is a letter from Purdue here, one of the top agricultural universities in the state of Indiana and the country. What is Validus? I'm not familiar with that. Can you?
Yeah, I'll help maybe, or if you want to take it. But Validus is the accounting company that verifies the results of Dr. Crony's research. Is that fair?
They're an unbiased auditing company that makes sure that we follow the standards that Purdue wrote, and they come out and do the audit. They don't care whether we pass or fail. They're unbiased. Unbiased auditing company.
Thank you. There was some mention made to waste material. I understand the dog breeding facility will have its own septic for the dogs. That's correct?
State approved septic system.
Yes.
Is that right, Dan?
Indiana State Department of Health has to approve the septic system for a commercial breeding facility. I believe you already have a permit.
Yes.
Yes.
Nothing to do with that again, though. Like
No.
livestock. Okay.
Or has started the permitting process. And I guess I would just like to add too is that if the variance is approved tonight, the requirements we have as a county still apply. So the setback from property lines for everything. We mandate that they're USDA certified. Every year when their license is renewed, we require a copy of it. More than 19 breeding females, you have to be the Board of Animal Health certificate, and so that's part of it. ICAL membership has to stay active. The Indiana Council for Animal Welfare inspection list is quite extensive compared to even USDA. Is that a fair assessment? So if the variance is approved, those requirements for Lagrange County, what is built into our zoning ordinance, will still apply, and they have to meet that criteria also.
Ezra, you'll be moving to this site, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. What will happen to your residence then?
Got it sold.
Okay.
Person that's going to buy it, he's still going to raise dogs, but at a smaller scale.
He is going to raise dogs.
At a smaller scale.
Okay.
Is that Noble County?
Correct.
Okay. And Laverne, how many dogs do you currently have?
60 females.
And you can have up to 75 from what I read in the newspaper,
That's
is
what
that
I'm
correct?
approved for, yes.
That's what you're approved for?
Yeah.
Okay. And what will happen to the facility that you're currently using then?
That will dissolve. I'll move up to the new property.
Okay. What use will that building be?
Well, two buildings I will sell. The other one, I don't know.
Okay.
No plans to raise dogs as of now.
I would hope not.
Yes.
If they're going through this. Okay. All right.
I'd like to have you go over again the ones that aren't sellable to wherever you market them. What do you do with those?
Through the rehoming program, we're adopting out.
Okay.
There is no dog carcasses like it was mentioned. There is no such thing as a dog carcass.
So they're not turned over to some shelter.
We don't adopt through a shelter.
Okay.
It's a reputable rehoming program. And Dr. King would probably know more about it than we do.
Okay, Dr. King.
I mean, you want to speak to it?
Yes.
Yes, please.
So,
You have to have
I'm
your name and address for the record, please.
my name is Dr. Crystal King. I'm a veterinarian here in Lagrange County. Our clinic is 800 North Troy Street here in Lagrange. I have been working with these breeders because I feel like when I first moved back to this area, the idea was to breed dogs for as long as they possibly could reproduce. I've been working with breeders to raise that standard and kind of work with them that if they agree to only breed them to 4 to 5 years old max, I would take those dogs for them and find them homes to take the kind of strain off of them to try to rehome in a public setting where people obviously are a little bit concerned with breeding dogs that come from an Amish facility. So in order to shorten the time that these dogs are bred and to make sure that they go to loving homes as pets, I have offered to work with these breeders to find these dogs homes. To this day, we have never had one that we couldn't rehome. I mean, there's some that could have health issues or aggression issues that we wouldn't, but I would say that is not typical. So we go through an application process where the breeders give us information on these dogs, what their likes are, what their dislikes are they good with children, are they good with other animals. We go through an application process and we find these dogs homes as pets so that they can live out the rest of their days as pets and not as breeding animals. We do require them to be spayed and neutered prior to rehoming as well. So we have not ever had to give these dogs to a shelter. They all come through our clinic and we basically perform interviews for the adoption process to make sure they do go to good, loving homes.
Thank you. Another interesting point the petitioner made that I took note of was that in a free market society as the United States is, the amount of dogs produced is directly dependent upon the demand. And I would like to see a show of hands of everyone in this room, if you're willing, who has a dog. I'll raise my hand because I'm not going to do this against just to show you. Keep your hand up if you had that dog since it was a pup. And did you get that dog from a store? Okay. Put your hand back up if you didn't get it from the store. Did you get them from a broker? One hand. No hands. I have a Doberman. I know for a fact my Doberman was born into an Amish family that does this. They're reputable, and that's how I got mine. Anyone else who would like to admit that they got their dog that they know of from an Amish breeding facility, raise your hand. That's what I wanted to see. That's what I wanted to see.
That's the terminology.
So make note that the demand, even in this room, is here. And the only way to decrease that demand is either to make it illegal, which is not happening in Lagrange County, or on a national level, which would require USDA action. And I don't think you're going to see that either. The best thing we can do is have reputable dog producing facilities like these gentlemen here are asking tonight to do it the right way, the clean way, and the humane way. Is there any further discussion amongst the board?
Any questions?
Brittany, can we have a vote, please?
The approval will not be injurious to the public health, safety, and general welfare of the community. Tyler?
Yes.
Lynn?
Yes.
Rich?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
The use and value of the area adjacent to the property included in the variance will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner. Lynn?
Yes.
Rich?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Tyler?
Yes.
The need for the variance arises from some condition peculiar to the property involved. Rich?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Tyler?
Yes.
Lynn?
Yes.
The strict application of the terms of the zoning ordinance will constitute an unnecessary hardship if applied to the property for which the variance is sought. Jim?
Yes.
Tyler?
Yes.
Lynn?
No.
Rich?
Yes.
Your variance has been approved this evening. Thank you for coming.
One more.
One more.
That was 4. I'm sorry, Brian. I'm
The
sorry.
approval does not interfere substantially with the comprehensive plan. Tyler?
Yes.
Lynn?
Yes.
Rich?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Your variance has been approved this evening. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
Let's take a 5-minute recess to allow everybody